Hey, what's up, Good Life? Thanks for joining me for today's 128 moment. On Sunday mornings, we're in the middle of our last series in the book of John, a series called The Gospel, His Passion, Our Purpose. What we're doing is we're walking through the events and the interactions of Passion Week as we see the crescendo of the good news of the gospel about to transpire in the cross and the empty tomb. And I don't want us, as we walk through this very familiar story, for us to be numb to it. I want us to remember that in Jesus, you and I can see exactly how much we are loved. Now, to remind us of the depths of God's love, I want to tell us a story that's at the other end of that spectrum, a story about a man named John Paul Getty. John Paul Getty III was a child of privilege. He grew up in Rome, where his father ran the Italian division of his family's business. Now, John Paul was the grandson of oil tycoon Paul Getty, who was the richest man in the world at the time. Now, the excesses of his family's wealth led John Paul into partying, into taking drugs, and into crashing very expensive cars, all by the age of 15. Now, 2 years after that, he ended up being expelled from his 7th school, and soon after, he was kidnapped by the Italian mafia. Now, his abductors, they chained him to a post in a cave in northern Italy. They sent a ransom note to the family, and they were demanding $17 million for his safe return. John Paul's family was a dysfunctional mess. His father had been entirely absent from his life, probably way too busy with his own addictions to ever really engage. And John Paul's grandfather was notoriously tight with his money and also with his love. He used secondhand envelopes, and he even installed a payphone in his house for his guests to use. Now, it didn't help that the family dynamics were such that he would return every letter that he got from his son unanswered, but he'd gone through and circled every spelling mistake and corrected it. Now, the refusal of John Paul's family to pay that $17 million ransom was both sad, but also unsurprising. His grandfather said, "I've got 14 grandchildren. If I pay a penny of ransom, I'll have 14 kidnapped grandchildren." Now, when his abductors heard their response, they actually cut off John Paul's ear and they mailed it to the Italian press with a $3 million ransom demand. Well, there happened to be a mail strike happening at the time, so it delayed the package for several weeks. But the sinister message motivated the family to finally comply. John Paul's father agreed to pay $2.2 million, which happened to be the maximum amount you could deduct from your taxes. And his grandfather consented to fund the rest as long as his son would pay him back at 4% interest. Though his family ransom was paid, he was set free. But the message was clear that if we love you, son, it's only this much. This story is more familiar than we think. We were each born with a ransom on our heads. Our sin nature led us to reject our Creator and to fall under the penalty and the slavery of sin. The situation we face is hopeless on our own, and we endure more than a few wounds while we're in sin's captivity. The price for our release exceeds the financial resources of even the wealthiest tycoons. Our ransom demands our very death. Psalms 49 puts it this way: "Why should I fear in times of trouble when the iniquity of those who cheat me surrounds me, those who trust in their wealth and boast of the abundance of their riches? Truly no man can ransom another or give to God the price of his life, for the ransom of their life is costly and can never suffice, that he should live on forever and never see the pit." In the face of a staggering ransom, our Heavenly Father did not calculate his potential losses. He lavished his grace and his mercy on us when he sent his son to give his life as a ransom for many. When Jesus spread out his arms and he paid our price, his message was clear: you don't ever have to wonder how much I love you. I love you this much. Good Life, this week, let's be a people who remember how much we're loved. Let's be a people who live like we are loved so much that it only makes sense for us to live to share the good news of the gospel with the world. Hope that encourages you guys, and hopefully you'll be able to join us on Sundays. We continue this gospel series. We'll be at the church at 9:30 and 11. We'll be online at 11 as well. And until then, let's go be a people who live like we are loved.